Shift for us, little Mutt. Show the court what you truly are. Nothing. The words echo through the great hall like a death sentence. Charlene Moses kneels on freezing stone, silver chains cutting into her wrists until blood runs warm down her palms. The green ceremonial dress, the same one her mother wore before she died, hangs in tatters from her shoulders. Torn. Muddied. Stained with wine some warrior threw at her an hour ago for sport. The smell of roasted boar and spiced mead fills her nostrils, making her stomach clench with hunger she's learned to ignore. Laughter crashes over her in waves, hundreds of wolves, packed shoulder to shoulder in the torchlit hall, pointing at her like she's tonight's entertainment. And she is. She's been their entertainment for 5 years. Above her, seated on the obsidian throne that belonged to her father, sits the man who murdered him, Uncle Thaddeus. His fur-lined cloak spreads across the armrests like blood on snow. Her father's crown sits crooked on his head, too small for his thick skull. In his hand, he swirls wine from her mother's favorite cup, the silver one with wolves etched around the rim. The same warriors who once swore oaths of loyalty to Alpha King Alexander Moses now drink to his killer's health, their voices hoarse from cheering. Do you remember what it feels like to be powerless? To watch everything you love turn to ash and be unable to stop it? That's where Charlene has lived for 5 years. In the ash. In the silence. Waiting. Tonight is the anniversary of her father's murder. And tonight, Thaddeus has decided, will be her last. But here's what makes this moment interesting. What makes tonight different from the 1,000 other nights she's endured. Charlene Moses has felt something stirring beneath her skin for weeks now. Something massive. Something that wants to claw its way out of her chest and paint these walls red. She's been burying it deep, hiding every tremor, every flash of heat in her veins. Because the moment her uncle suspects she has power, she's dead. Except tonight, she stops caring about survival. Tonight, rage wins. 5 years ago, on a night just like this one, 20 wolves ambushed Alpha King Alexander Moses in the northern forest. They tore him apart while Charlene, only 18 and still unable to shift, hid in the castle and listened to her father's final howl cut short. Thaddeus claimed the throne by morning, claimed Alexander was weak, that his bloodline was flawed, that his daughter was proof. A girl who couldn't shift wasn't worth the air she breathed, so he made Charlene his living monument to failure, kept her alive as propaganda. Look at Alexander's daughter, he'd tell visiting packs. She can't even access her wolf? That's what happens when bloodlines weaken. That's why he had to die. The truth? Charlene has always known the truth, even if she couldn't prove it. Her father wasn't weak. He was terrified. Terrified of what she would become. And Thaddeus murdered him to make sure that transformation never happened. Now she lives in the servants' quarters of her own palace, sleeps on a straw mat, wears rags unless Thaddeus decides to dress her up for ceremonies like this one, where he forces her to attempt shifting in front of the court. Annual entertainment. Watch the princess fail. Watch her prove her father deserved to die. Her knees ache against the stone. She counts heartbeats to stay calm. 57 warriors in the hall. 12 exits. Guards posted at 10 of them. She's memorized every rotation, every weak point, every face that sneers at her. For 5 years, she's played broken. For 5 years, she's waited for the right moment to run. Tonight was supposed to be that moment. Marcus, her father's old beta, one of 3 wolves who survived the ambush, was supposed to create a distraction during the feast. Give her a window to disappear into the forest and never look back. But Charlene realizes, as the chains bite deeper and the crowd's laughter swells, that she doesn't want to run anymore. She wants to stay. She wants to make them all pay. The great hall itself seems built for cruelty. The throne sits on a raised platform made from obsidian and bone, wolf skulls mounted on the walls like trophies. Torch flames cast dancing shadows across the vaulted ceiling where her family's banners once hung. Thaddeus burned those the first week and replaced them with his own. Black wolves on blood-red fields. Everything about this place screams that Alexander Moses is dead and his line is finished. Except it's not. Not yet. Thaddeus rises from the throne, his massive frame casting a shadow that swallows her whole. He's holding something. Her father's dagger, the silver one with the Moses crest on the hilt. The blade catches torchlight as he descends the steps, boots heavy on stone. 5 years, his voice booms, carrying to every corner of the hall. 5 years I've given my traitorous brother's whelp every chance to prove herself, to show even a spark of the power Alexander claimed ran in his blood. He pauses, letting the crowd jeer, letting them spit their hate at her. But what have we seen? A girl who cannot shift, who possesses no wolf, who is nothing but a useless mutt wearing a dead king's name. Charlene keeps her eyes down. Not submission. Strategy. She's counting the warriors who've moved closer, calculating angles, feeling the chain's weight. She's become very good at looking defeated while planning violence. Tonight, Thaddeus continues, circling her now like a predator savoring a kill, we end this charade. I've been merciful, kept her alive as proof that Alexander's line was weak, that his murder was justified, but mercy has limits. He stops in front of her, close enough that she can smell the wine on his breath, the boar grease in his beard, close enough that she could bite his throat if she were fast enough. But she's not. Not yet. Before witnesses, before the moon goddess herself, I declare, Charlene Moses an abomination, a human pretending to be wolf, and the punishment for such deception is death. The crowd roars approval. They want blood. They've always wanted her blood. But first, Thaddeus says, smiling with all the warmth of winter frost, one last chance. Shift, niece. Show us your wolf. Prove your father's blood meant anything. He leans down, bringing his face level with hers. Or prove me right that he died because his line was worthless. 5 years of this. 5 years of being called mutt, mongrel, mistake. 5 years of swallowing rage like poison, letting it burn in her gut, letting it build and build and build until she thought she'd explode from the pressure of containing it. She made a promise once, kneeling over her father's grave in the darkness before dawn. I will end you, uncle. I will take back everything you stole. Every breath you take is borrowed. Every moment you sit on that throne is a lie I'm going to correct. The stirring beneath her skin intensifies. It's been getting stronger for weeks. Like something massive is trapped inside her ribcage, throwing itself against the bars, desperate to break free. She's felt her bones ache with it, felt heat pulse through her veins at night when she can't sleep, felt her teeth sharpen for just a moment before she forces them back to human dullness. She's hidden it all, because the moment Thaddeus suspects she's a threat, she dies. Not ceremonially, not publicly, just a knife in the dark and a shallow grave. But tonight, as guards grip her arms to drag her toward the executioner's block, as the chains cut deeper and the crowd screams for her death, something inside Charlene Moses snaps, not breaks, awakens. You want to see my wolf? Her voice cuts through the noise like a blade through silk, steady, cold. The voice of someone who's done being afraid. The hall goes quiet. Even Thaddeus pauses, his smile faltering. Charlene lifts her head, meets her uncle's eyes for the first time in 5 years. It's forbidden for prisoners to look alphas in the eye, but she's done following his rules. You murdered my father because you were terrified of what his children would become. Thaddeus's face darkens. Silence her. But the guards hesitate. Something in her voice, something in her eyes, makes them uncertain. You didn't kill him for power, Charlene continues, standing now despite the chains, despite the hands trying to force her down. The chains around her wrists begin to glow with heat, the silver turning red hot where it touches her skin. You killed him because he told you the truth, that the Moses bloodline carries something your pathetic lineage never could. Something that only awakens in the worthy. The first chain snaps, then the second. They hit the floor like broken promises. Silence her, Thaddeus screams, but his voice cracks with something that might be fear. Charlene smiles for the first time in 5 years. It's not a kind smile. You knew, she whispers, and somehow the whisper carries further than any shout. You knew what I would become. Silver light erupts from her body, so bright that wolves shield their eyes, so hot that the nearest warriors stumble backward. Her scream becomes something else, something ancient, something that shakes the castle foundations and sends dust raining from the rafters. Guards reach for weapons they'll never draw in time. Thaddeus scrambles backward, tripping over his own feet. The crowd surges toward the exits, but they're too slow, too late, too stupid to realize they should have killed her years ago when they had the chance. And Charlene Moses, the useless mutt, the powerless prisoner, the girl who couldn't shift, transforms for the first time in her life. The pain is unlike anything human language has words for. Her bones don't just break, they shatter, explode outward and reform in seconds, growing, thickening, reshaping into something that shouldn't exist. Her spine arches backward with a crack, like lightning splitting an oak tree. Ribs expand, shoulders broaden, her jaw elongates with a wet tearing sound that makes warriors vomit. The scream that started as human agony transforms mid-breath into a howl that shakes the castle foundations. Stone dust rains from the ceiling, torches flicker and die, the obsidian throne cracks straight down the middle. Warriors scramble backward, tripping over each other, over tables, over their own feet in their desperation to escape. Some draw swords with shaking hands, others shift into wolf form, instinct taking over, preparing to fight or flee or die. But they're all too slow. The silver light burns brighter, hotter, until every wolf in the hall has to shield their eyes or go blind. It pulses outward in waves, shattering wine cups, cracking stone, extinguishing every torch in a single breath. For 3 heartbeats, the great hall exists in absolute brightness, pure, terrible, divine. Then the light fades, and where Charlene Moses knelt in chains, something else stands. The silence that follows is the silence of prey animals, realizing they're being hunted. Absolute. Primal. The kind of quiet that precedes slaughter. She's massive. 8 feet at the shoulder, maybe more. Twice the size of any wolf in the kingdom. Bigger than Thaddeus in his alpha form. Bigger than anything that should be able to move with flesh and bone. But she's not just big. She's wrong in a way that makes wolf instincts scream danger, makes ancient memories buried in blood, and marrow wake up and remember what their ancestors feared. Her fur is pure white, not the white of snow or milk or moonlight. Something else. Something that glows with its own luminescence, silver light rolling off her in waves like heat off summer stone. It moves like liquid, like starlight given form, and where it catches the last dying torchlight, it gleams like polished bone. Her eyes, moon goddess, her eyes, liquid mercury, no pupil, no iris, just molten silver that seems to see through flesh and bone, and lies straight down to the soul. They sweep across the hall, and everywhere they land, wolves drop to their knees whether they want to or not. Fangs like daggers, gleaming silver, too long for her mouth. They show even when her jaws are closed, curving down past her lower jaw like something built for ripping through armor and bone and alpha pride. When she breathes, The exhale is visible, silver mist that smells like winter and blood and something older than memory. Her claws scrape the obsidian floor as she takes her first step. The sound is nails on a chalkboard multiplied by 1,000. Long as short swords, black as pitch, they carve grooves in stone that's supposed to be unbreakable. The hall remains silent. Even the wounded stop whimpering. Even the dying hold their breath. Then someone whispers it. An elder wolf in the back, his voice cracking with age and terror and recognition. White lichen. The words spread like plague. White lichen. Impossible. Haven't been seen in 1,000 years. The old stories, the legends, apex predators blessed by the moon goddess herself, creatures that appear once every millennium in the purest bloodlines, beings that can kill alphas with a single strike, that can break pack bonds with a howl, that stand above every law and hierarchy because they're the moon goddess's chosen instruments of balance. Elder wolves drop to their knees, not bowing, not choosing to submit. Their bodies simply give out, forced down by something deeper than consciousness, ancient recognition coded into their bones. You don't stand in the presence of a white lichen. You kneel. You pray. You hope it's merciful. Thaddeus is still standing on the platform, frozen, his face drained of color until he looks like a corpse pretending to be alive. His hands shake. The dagger he was holding, Charlene's father's dagger, clatters to the floor. He knew. He knew this was possible. That's why he killed Alexander. That's why he kept Charlene in chains for 5 years. Not propaganda. Not cruelty for its own sake. Fear. He was terrified of this exact moment. And now it's here. And he's dead. He just doesn't know it yet. Charlene's mercury eyes find him through the crowd. Lock on. Her lips peel back in something that might be a smile if predators smiled. She takes a step toward the throne, then another. Each footfall leaves cracks in the stone. But first, she has other debts to collect. Her head swivels. Those mercury eyes land on a warrior near the front. The one who kicked her 2 hours ago when she stumbled serving wine. Who laughed and called her clumsy mongrel and kicked her again for good measure. He's trying to back toward the door now, sword drawn but trembling so hard the blade rings against his armor. She moves, impossibly fast. One moment she's 20 feet away. The next, she's on him. He doesn't even have time to scream. Her jaws close around his torso and there's a wet crack, and then he's not a person anymore. Just pieces. Just a message, written in blood and bone on the stone floor. 3 seconds. That's all it took. The hall erupts into chaos. Warriors scatter like autumn leaves in a storm. Some shift mid-run, instinct overriding reason, becoming wolves so they can run faster. Others freeze, playing dead, hoping she'll pass them by. A few, the stupid brave ones, attack. They die just as fast. She moves through them like death incarnate, not mindless slaughter, targeted, precise. She's hunting specific faces, specific voices. Every wolf who made her life hell for 5 years. The cook who spat in her food and laughed about it. She finds him trying to hide behind an overturned table. His screams last longer than they should. The guard captain who whipped her for spilling soup. Who smiled while he did it. Who told her she should thank him for the discipline. She tears his throat out and leaves him to drown in his own blood. The councilwoman who called her mongrel filth every morning for 5 years, who suggested Thaddeus should breed her like livestock to see if her children could shift. Charlene crushes her skull with one paw and doesn't even slow down. Each kill is righteous. Each death is earned. This isn't murder. This is justice served with fangs and claws. Then, through the chaos, 3 wolves step forward from the crowd. They're not running. They're not attacking. They're standing tall, tears streaming down their faces, voices raised in a shout that cuts through the screaming. The true alpha has awakened. Marcus, Her father's beta. Older now. Scarred. Gray in his muzzle, but alive. Still alive. He's flanked by two others she recognizes. Lieutenants who served under Alexander, who supposedly died in the ambush but clearly didn't. They've been here. Hidden. Waiting. For 5 years they've been waiting for this moment. Marcus shifts to human form, drops to one knee, places his fist over his heart. The old salute. The one reserved for Alpha Kings. "We've been gathering the loyal," he says, his voice cracking with emotion. 20 wolves strong. Servants, guards, workers, all waiting for you to wake up. And they reveal themselves. One by one, wolves throughout the hall shift to human form and kneel. 20 of them. Warriors she served food to. Servants she scrubbed floors beside. Guards she thought hated her. All loyal to her father's memory. All waiting for the daughter to become what the father promised. "You've seen something incredible happen tonight, haven't you? A girl who was called worthless just proved she's legend made flesh. But here's what I need to know. Have you ever felt like that? Like everyone underestimated you, called you weak, made you small, when you knew, deep down, you were meant for something more?" That's what this story is about. Becoming who you were always meant to be, no matter who tries to stop you. And if that resonates with you, if you want to see where this journey goes, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button. Because Charlene's transformation is just beginning, and trust me, you don't want to miss what happens next. But the moment is fractured by something else. A memory, not hers, someone else's. It hits her like a fist to the chest. She's not in the Great Hall anymore. She's somewhere else, somewhere familiar. Her father's study. 5 years ago. Night. 2 men standing by the fireplace. She's seeing through Alexander's eyes, feeling what he felt. Fear. Resignation. Love for a daughter he's about to fail. Thaddeus is there, younger, less scarred. "Brother," he says, and his voice is almost pleading. "Tell me the truth. The prophecy. Is it real?" Alexander doesn't answer immediately. He stares into the fire like it holds answers. Then quietly, "Charlene shows the signs. She'll be white lichen. I'm certain." Thaddeus's face changes. Fear becomes calculation, becomes determination. "Then I'm sorry, brother, but I cannot let that power exist." Alexander turns, reaches for a weapon, but it's too late. The door crashes open. 20 wolves flood in. Not a fair fight. Not even close. They tear him apart while he's still trying to understand that his own brother betrayed him. His last thought, as consciousness fades, as pain becomes numbness, becomes nothing. "Charlene, forgive me. I couldn't protect you. But your mother's spell will. You'll survive. You'll wake up. And when you do, you'll burn them all." The memory shatters. Charlene is back in her own body, in her white lichen form, standing in the great hall surrounded by blood and broken wolves. She understands now. Thaddeus didn't kill her father for power. He killed him to stop her. Because he knew what she'd become. Knew that a white lichen, loyal to her father's memory, would destroy everything he built. The rage that floods through her then is beyond words, beyond thought, beyond anything resembling control. She throws her head back and howls. The sound isn't just noise, it's power made audible. It shatters windows, it cracks stone, and every wolf in the kingdom, for 50 miles in every direction, hears it and knows exactly what it means. The white lichen lives. The true heir has awakened, and she's coming for blood. But the howl does something else, something she doesn't intend. It breaks whatever fragile control she had. White lichens, when newly awakened, are pure instinct, rage, hunt, kill. The human mind is there, buried somewhere deep, but the beast is in control now. Charlene stops targeting specific enemies. She starts attacking anything that moves. friend, foe, doesn't matter. The distinction is gone. She lunges at Marcus. He dodges barely, his eyes wide with horror. She can't control it yet. He screams to the others, "Get everyone out. Civilians first." But she's faster than any wolf has a right to be. She crashes through a stone wall chasing fleeing servants, brings the ceiling down on a group of warriors trying to organize a defense. The hall is chaos, screaming, blood, stone dust. The smell of fear so thick it coats the tongue. Her allies, her father's loyal wolves, are forced to fight her. Not to kill, to contain, to herd civilians away from her rampage, to protect innocents from their own princess. Through the chaos, Thaddeus retreats. He's not fighting, he's running. Toward the back corridors, toward escape tunnels, toward anywhere that isn't here. And then, through the screaming and the blood and the destruction, a new figure appears in the hall's entrance. A woman. Black robes that seem to drink in torchlight. Hair like midnight. Eyes like coal. She's smiling. Not the smile of someone afraid. The smile of someone who's been waiting for exactly this moment. She raises one pale hand, and silver light erupts from her palm. Not the natural silver of Charlene's transformation. Something else. Something wrong. Dark magic wearing the moon's color like a mask. "Finally," she says, and her voice carries over the chaos with unnatural clarity. The white lichen awakens. Her smile widens. "And I've been waiting so very long to meet you, Charlene Moses." The woman in black robes walks into hell like she's strolling through a garden. Wolves part around her instinctively, bodies moving before minds can question why. She radiates something that makes fur stand on end, that makes throats close with primal fear that has nothing to do with teeth or claws. Dark magic, the kind that feels like ice in the marrow, like rot behind the eyes. She's beautiful in the way poisonous things are beautiful, ageless, skin pale as bone, hair black as pitch, falling in waves past her waist, eyes like coal, burning without warmth. Her robes drink in the torchlight, seem to swallow it whole so that shadow clings to her like a living thing. In her hands, silver chains catch the light. They writhe, actually move, like snakes, like they're alive and hungry. Charlene, still lost in rage, still hunting, swivels her massive head toward this new threat. A growl builds in her chest, so deep it vibrates through the floor. But before she can lunge, before she can tear this stranger apart like all the others, Marcus's voice cuts through the chaos. "You." His voice breaks on the word. "You're supposed to be dead." The woman smiles. It's not a kind smile. Dead? Oh, Marcus. Sweet, loyal Marcus. She tilts her head, examining him like he's something fascinating and pitiful all at once. "I was never dead. Just patient. Waiting for the right moment. Waiting for her." She looks at Charlene, at the white lichen covered in blood, trembling with barely contained violence. Waiting for this. From the balcony, where he's been edging toward escape, Thaddeus freezes. He stares at the woman like he's seen a ghost. Or something worse. "Drusilla," he breathes. She inclines her head, acknowledging him without really looking at him. Like he's furniture. Like he's irrelevant. "Hello, puppet. Did you really think you came up with the plan yourself? That keeping her alive, chained, broken, was your clever idea?" She laughs, and the sound makes wolves whimper. "Thaddeus, you're many things, but creative isn't one of them." The hall has gone quiet except for the wounded. Everyone still alive is listening now, trying to understand. "I've been guiding you for 5 years," Drusilla continues, her voice carrying effortlessly. "Every suggestion you thought was yours came from me. The silver chains that kept her powerless? Mine. The idea to keep her alive as propaganda instead of executing her immediately? Mine. All of it. carefully orchestrated, all leading to this beautiful, perfect moment. Why? Thaddeus's voice cracks. Why would you want her to transform? She'll kill us all. Not us, dear puppet. You. She finally looks at him, and there's nothing but contempt in those coal-black eyes. You were always expendable, a means to an end. I needed someone stupid enough to murder his own brother, cruel enough to torture a child, and terrified enough to follow my instructions. You performed admirably. She turns back to Charlene, who's watching now, mercury eyes tracking every movement. There's intelligence there, buried under rage, understanding beginning to surface. The chains weren't just suppressing your wolf child, they were keeping you human, preventing your transformation entirely. You should have shifted at 13, at puberty, when your power first awakened. You would have been magnificent, unstoppable. But I couldn't allow that. A white lichen with training, with control, with a decade to master her power, far too dangerous. She begins to circle, moving closer with each step. The silver chains in her hands glow brighter. No, I needed you weak, broken, consumed by rage. Because a white lichen who's just awakened, who's lost control, who's pure instinct and fury, that's much easier to capture, much easier to drain. Marcus takes a step forward, rage making his voice shake. You killed Elena. Queen Elena discovered your plan, didn't she? Drusilla sighs like the memory bores her. The queen was clever. Too clever. She found my workshop, discovered I'd been studying the old prophecies about white lichens, figured out I wanted to harvest one's life force to achieve immortality. She threatened to expose me to Alexander. So yes, I killed her. Made it look like illness, tragic, sudden. No one questioned it. You murdered Charlene's mother, Marcus says, and now there are tears in his eyes, rage and grief mixing together. You poisoned her slowly, made her suffer. She was dying anyway, Drusilla says with a shrug. I just accelerated the timeline, but I'll admit, I underestimated her. Even on her deathbed, even with poison eating through her veins, Elena managed to cast one final spell, a protection woven into her daughter's soul, hidden, dormant, activated by love and fury combined. She laughs again. It almost worked too. Almost. But tonight, that protection won't be enough. Tonight, I finally claim what I've worked 15 years to obtain. Charlene snarls, takes a step forward, muscles bunching under white fur, preparing to end this woman, this murderer, this thing wearing human skin. But Drusilla is faster. She pulls an obsidian staff from within her robes, slams it against the floor, and begins chanting in a language that sounds like bones breaking, like screaming in reverse. The words hurt to hear, make reality feel thin and fragile. Magical circles appear on the floor, glowing with sickly green light. They spread outward in geometric patterns, ancient symbols that haven't been drawn in centuries. The air grows thick, heavy. Breathing becomes difficult. Charlene tries to charge, but her legs won't obey. The white lichen form, so powerful moments ago, begins to slow. Each step takes effort. Each breath is labor. The silver chains in Drusilla's hands snap outward, moving with unnatural speed. They wrap around Charlene's legs, her torso, her neck. Where they touch, white fur burns. Smoke rises. The smell of seared flesh fills the hall. She thrashes, pulls against the binding with strength enough to shatter stone, but the chains only tighten. More appear, materializing from nothing, wrapping around her again and again until she can barely move. Marcus and the others try to reach her, weapons drawn, desperation making them brave. But when they hit the edge of the magical circle, it repels them, throws them backward with force enough to crack ribs. Drusilla approaches Charlene, who's frozen mid-snarl, mercury eyes blazing with fury and fear and helplessness. The sorceress extends one pale hand, places it against the white lichen's chest, and begins to drain her. Light flows from Charlene into Drusilla. Silver and gold, the color of life itself, pouring from the white lichen's body into the sorceress. Charlene's glowing fur begins to dim. The luminescence fades. Her eyes lose their brightness. Pain, not physical, deeper, like having your soul ripped out piece by piece. From the balcony, Thaddeus watches with an expression caught between horror and satisfaction. He wanted Charlene dead. But this is worse than death. This is violation. Marcus is screaming, throwing himself at the barrier again and again, blood streaming from his forehead where he's cracked it against invisible walls. The other wolves are clawing at the circle, howling, desperate. But it's not enough. Charlene's consciousness begins to fade. The edges of her vision darken. The pain becomes distant. Numbness spreads through her limbs. This is how she dies. Not executed. Not defeated in battle. Drained. Used. Turned into fuel for someone else's immortality. Her father died for nothing. Her mother's sacrifice wasted. 5 years of survival meaningless. Then, from somewhere deep inside her chest, a different light appears. Warm. Golden. Not the silver of white lichen power. Something else. Something that feels like summer mornings and her mother's laugh, and the way her father used to call her little moon. A memory floods in. Not her own. Her mother's. She's in her mother's chambers. Elena is dying. Poison turning her skin gray, her breath rattling. But she's not resting. She's casting. Blood magic. The forbidden kind. The kind that costs the caster everything. My daughter, Elena whispers, her voice already fading. When darkness seeks to chain you, remember love is stronger. Your father's courage lives in your blood. My protection lives in your soul. And when you need it most, when rage and love meet, when fury and grief become one, you'll understand. You'll break free. And you'll burn them all. The spell settles into infant Charlene, invisible, dormant, waiting for this exact moment. The golden light explodes outward, not attacking Drusilla, protecting Charlene. It wraps around her soul like armor, like her mother's arms, like something unbreakable. And Charlene's mercury eyes clear. Consciousness returns, not pushing out the beast, but merging with it. Woman and wolf, rage and reason, becoming one for the first time. Control. True control. She feels her mother's spell like a second heartbeat, feels the love woven into every syllable, the sacrifice burned into every word. Her mother died to give her this moment, this chance. Drusilla doesn't notice the change at first. She's too focused on the draining, too consumed by greed. But then Charlene moves. Not thrashing. Deliberate. The silver chains crack. Then shatter. They explode outward in fragments that slice through the air like shrapnel, forcing Drusilla to stumble back. The binding circle beneath them fractures. Green light flickers, dims, dies. And Charlene Moses, in full white lichen form, with her mother's love and her father's rage and 5 years of suffering transformed into purpose, stands free. The difference is visible. Her posture is different. Calmer, more controlled. Her eyes still burn with mercury light, but there's intelligence there now. Understanding. She's not just beast, she's both. And she's magnificent. Drusilla screams as the backlash hits her. Dark magic, severed improperly, turns on its caster. She clutches her chest where Charlene's power burned her from the inside. Impossible, she gasps. The spell should have held. You should be mine. Charlene doesn't respond with words. Can't, in this form. But she doesn't need words. She throws her head back and howls. Not rage, this time. Purpose. The sound is beautiful and terrible. Pure white lichen power, channeled with precision, aimed like a weapon. The howl doesn't just make sound, it severs. It cuts through dark magic like light through shadow, finding every thread of Drusilla's spell and burning it away. The magical circles shatter completely. The obsidian staff in Drusilla's hands cracks, then explodes into dust. And Drusilla herself begins to dissolve, not dying. Worse, being pulled away, into shadow, into the space between worlds where dark magic lives when it has no anchor in reality. No, she screams, clawing at the air, at the floor, at anything. No. I was so close. 15 years. The power should be mine. But the howl doesn't stop, doesn't falter. Charlene holds the note, holds the power, holds her control, until Drusilla's form comes apart like smoke in wind. Cast into darkness, not death, eternal imprisonment in the shadow realm where she belongs. The howl fades. Silence falls. Charlene stands in the center of the ruined hall, chest heaving, white fur still glowing but dimmer now. Controlled. She looks at Marcus, who's staring at her with wonder and tears and pride all mixed together. "Princess?" he asks carefully. She nods, understands everything he says, even if she can't speak yet in this form. Her mercury eyes are clear, calm, human mind piloting the beast's body. Around the hall, something shifts. Warriors who served Thaddeus, who stayed loyal even through the chaos, begin to drop to their knees. 1, then 5, then 20. Half of his elite guard seeing a white lichen with control, seeing the true heir blessed by the moon goddess herself, renounce their false alpha. "We serve the white lichen," one of them says, and others echo him. The true heir, the rightful queen. Ancient law is clear. Any wolf may abandon an alpha who serves darkness, who conspires with witches, who betrays the moon goddess's will. Thaddeus's power base crumbles in seconds. From the balcony, Thaddeus sees it happening, sees his kingdom dissolving, and he runs, bolts toward the back corridors, toward the escape tunnels, toward anywhere that isn't here. Marcus sees him fleeing. He's running. "We have to..." But Charlene's growl stops him, deep, commanding, the kind of sound that makes wolves freeze in their tracks. And then she shifts. First controlled shift. First time choosing when and how the transformation happens. The white fur recedes, the massive frame shrinks, bones crack and reform. But this time it doesn't hurt. This time it's natural. And Charlene Moses stands in human form in the center of the hall, naked, covered in blood, sweat, ash, but standing tall, head high, eyes burning with purpose. "No," she says, her voice hoarse from howling but steady. "He doesn't get to run. Not this time." She looks at Marcus. "Bring me my father's armor, the black steel, the set he wore when he rode to war." Marcus grins through his tears. "You're challenging him. Trial by combat." "Ancient law," Charlene confirms. "He murdered his brother. I'm blood heir. I call for justice. He can't refuse without appearing a coward. And cowards don't keep thrones. Your father would be proud," Marcus says. Charlene looks at the ruined hall, at the bodies, at the wolves kneeling to her, at the throne split down the middle by her first howl. "Good," she says, "because I'm just getting started." She raises her voice, lets it carry to every corner, to every corridor, to every wolf still hiding in fear. Spread the word. Tell every pack within 100 miles. Tell allies. Tell enemies. Tell anyone with ears to hear. She smiles. It's not a kind smile. The white lichen calls for justice, and Thaddeus. Humphrey will answer. Tonight. Before the moon. Before witnesses. Before the goddess herself. Trial by combat. To the death. And this time, she promises, the right king dies. Word spreads like wildfire through a drought-dead forest. 1 hour. That's all it takes for wolves to arrive from every corner of the kingdom. They come in packs, in pairs, alone. Warriors, elders, commoners who've never seen the castle before tonight. They flood the courtyard until there's barely room to breathe, until the stone walls seem to pulse with the sheer number of bodies pressed against them. The full moon hangs overhead, fat and silver, casting everything in stark relief. Perfect. Ancient law requires trial by combat to take place under the moon goddess's eye. Tonight, she'll have a clear view. In the center of the courtyard, a combat circle has been drawn in liquid silver, 30 feet across. Ancient symbols marking the boundary. Once you step inside, you don't leave until one fighter is dead or submits. Those are the only options. Marcus and his loyalists block every exit. Thaddeus cornered himself in his own castle. There's nowhere left to run. Charlene stands in a side chamber being fitted into her father's armor. The black steel hasn't been touched in 5 years. Dust covers it. Rust spots the joints. But underneath, it's still magnificent. Plates engraved with the Moses family crest, a white wolf on a field of silver. Pauldrons shaped like snarling wolf heads. Gauntlets with claws built into the fingers. It's too large, made for a man 1/2 a foot taller and twice her weight. But she adjusts the straps, pulls the buckles tight, makes it work. Because this isn't just armor, it's a statement. It's her father's legacy worn on her shoulders. She catches her reflection in a polished shield, barely recognizes herself. The hollow cheeks are filling out already. White lichen metabolism burning through her body's damage at supernatural speed. The scars on her wrists from 5 years of chains are fading. Her eyes, though. Her eyes burn with purpose that wasn't there this morning. This morning, she was a prisoner waiting to die. Tonight, she's an alpha queen about to claim her throne. Marcus enters without knocking. Stops. Stares. You look like him, he says quietly, like Alexander when he rode to war. Good. She adjusts the final strap. Let Thaddeus see exactly what he killed. Let him die, knowing he failed. In the throne room, Thaddeus is cornered and desperate. He tried bribing warriors to fight for him, offered gold, land, titles. They all refused. Ancient law is absolute. When a blood heir challenges for kinslaying, the accused must answer personally. No champions, no substitutes. His remaining loyalists, maybe 15 wolves who are either genuinely loyal or too stupid to understand the situation, stand with him. But even they won't interfere. They know the law. Interference means death for everyone involved. He has 2 choices: accept and probably die. Refuse and definitely die, torn apart by the mob waiting outside. Not much of a choice at all. An elder wolf, neutral party from the Western pack, presides over the ritual, gray-muzzled, scarred, old enough to remember when trials by combat were common. He recites the rules in a voice that carries across the packed courtyard. Combat to the death or submission. Both fighters in wolf form. No interference on penalty of death. Victor takes the throne. Loser's name is struck from pack records, erased from history as if they never existed. Charlene insisted on wolf form. She could fight him as white lichen and end it in seconds. But that's not justice. That's execution. She wants him to have a chance, however slim. Wants the fight to be real so that when she kills him, no one can say it wasn't fair. Thaddeus enters the circle first. He's stripped to the waist, scars crisscrossing his torso like a map of violence. 40 years of combat, 40 years of killing his way to power. He's not weak, not helpless. He's one of the largest alphas in the kingdom, and he's fighting for his life. He shifts without ceremony. Bones crack. Fur erupts. And where a man stood, a massive brown wolf takes his place, nearly 7 feet at the shoulder, battle-scarred, experienced, eyes like amber, locked on the entrance where Charlene will emerge. She steps into the circle, still in human form. The crowd goes silent. She's wearing her father's armor, but she strips it off piece by piece. Pauldrons, breastplate, gauntlets, until she stands in just the simple cloth beneath, then removes that too. Tradition demands it. Combat in wolf form means you enter the circle as the moon goddess made you. She meets Thaddeus's eyes across 30 feet of silver-marked stone, and shifts. The transformation is controlled now, smooth, almost beautiful. White fur spreads like frost, bones reshape with purpose instead of pain, and the white lichen emerges, but smaller this time. She wills herself smaller. Not the massive 8-foot form from the hall, something closer to Thaddeus's size, 7 feet, maybe slightly less. The crowd gasps. White lichens don't do that. Don't control their size. Don't show restraint. But Charlene does. Because this fight needs to be fair. Because she needs to prove she's not a monster who wins through overwhelming power alone. She's a warrior, and warriors fight with skill. Her mercury eyes lock on Thaddeus, intelligence burning there, strategy. The elder wolf raises his hand, drops it. Begin. Thaddeus lunges immediately, no hesitation, no testing, just pure aggression, trying to end it fast before she can adapt. 40 years of experience telling him that hesitation is death. Charlene dodges, impossibly fast. She's smaller than her full white lichen form, but still faster than any normal wolf. His jaws snap shut on empty air where her throat was a heartbeat ago. They circle, paws scraping stone, muscles coiled, each looking for an opening. He feints left, goes right. She's ready. Blocks with her shoulder, absorbs the impact, counters with claws aimed at his eyes. He jerks back, but not fast enough. She scores his cheek, draws first blood. The crowd roars. Thaddeus snarls, shakes his head, blood flying, goes for her throat again. She meets him head-on this time. They crash together with a sound like thunder. Fangs seeking flesh, claws tearing fur, rolling across the stone in a tangle of white and brown. She's stronger, but he's smarter, more experienced. He knows where to bite, where to claw, how to use weight and leverage. He breaks the grapple, tears her shoulder as he pulls away. Blood stains white fur crimson. They separate, both bleeding now, both panting. The combat becomes a dance, brutal, visceral. The sound of it, fangs scraping bone, claws on stone, growls that rattle teeth. The smell, blood and sweat and fear mixing in the air. The impact, bodies slamming together hard enough to crack ribs. Thaddeus fights desperately. He's fighting for his life, and he knows every trick. Kicks sand in her eyes when she gets close. Targets the injuries from her chains, old wounds not fully healed. Goes for hamstrings, trying to cripple her mobility. Charlene fights with 5 years of rage channeled into precision. Each strike is purposeful. This is for my father. Claws across his ribs. This is for my mother. Fangs in his shoulder. This is for 5 years of being called worthless. She breaks 2 of his ribs with a headbutt. But she's learning combat on the fly. He almost gets her several times. A bite that nearly crushes her windpipe. Claws that miss her eye by an inch. She's powerful, but he's seasoned. The turning point comes when Thaddeus gets lucky. She overextends on a lunge. He sidesteps, rakes his claws across her ribs, deep, cutting through muscle to scrape bone. She stumbles, blood pouring from the wound, staining white fur until it looks tie-dyed in crimson. He sees the opening, goes for the killing blow, lunges for her exposed throat with jaws open wide. And something in Charlene snaps. Not rage, not loss of control. Instinct. Pure white lichen survival instinct. Power surges through her body like lightning through water. She moves faster than thought, catches his jaw mid-lunge. Her jaws close around his muzzle with force enough to shatter stone. She twists. Bones crack. His jaw breaks with a wet sound that makes the crowd flinch. He tries to pull away, but she's already on him. Pins him to the ground with impossible strength. Her full weight, her full power, crushing him into the stone. He thrashes, struggles. But it's useless. She's not just stronger. She's overwhelmingly stronger. The fight is over. They both know it. Her jaws are at his throat. One bite. That's all it would take. One bite and Thaddeus Humphrey dies, and 5 years of captivity are avenged and justice is served. But she doesn't bite. Not yet. Through the wolf bond, the connection all wolves share, she speaks directly into his mind. You could have been a good brother, a good uncle. You chose betrayal. His amber eyes, wide with terror, meet her mercury ones. And she sees the moment resignation settles in. He knows he's dead. Just doesn't know how much he'll suffer first. Instead of killing him, she does something few wolves can do. Forces him to shift back to human form. It's difficult magic. Requires overpowering his will entirely. But she's white lichen. His will is nothing compared to hers. He shifts involuntarily. Bones crack back to human shape. And suddenly it's a man lying in the dirt, naked, bleeding, broken jaw healing slowly but not fast enough. Confess, she says, still in white lichen form, her voice a growl in his mind. All of it. Before witnesses. He tries to shake his head. She presses down harder, claws dimpling the skin of his throat. He has no choice. He'll confess, or he'll die. And confession at least buys him seconds. The ambush. He gasps through his broken jaw, words slurred and wet. 20 wolves. Northern forest. I planned it for weeks. Why? Marcus's voice from outside the circle. The prophecy. Thaddeus's eyes squeeze shut. Alexander told me. His daughter would be white lichen. I couldn't let that power exist. It would destroy everything. So you murdered your brother, Charlene says in his mind. I was afraid. The power. It's too much. One wolf shouldn't have that much power. And Drusilla? She approached me. After Elena died. Offered help. The chains. The plan. He's crying now. I didn't know she killed Elena. Didn't know until tonight. I swear. You swear. Charlene's laugh in his mind is bitter. Like that means anything from a kinslayer. She releases the mental connection, shifts back to human form, stands over him, naked and covered in blood and utterly unashamed. Fear doesn't excuse murder. Her voice carries across the silent courtyard. Ambition doesn't justify betrayal. Marcus hands her their father's dagger, the one Thaddeus threatened her with hours ago. The silver blade catches moonlight. I'm not executing you as your niece, she says, looking down at the man who murdered her father, who tortured her for 5 years, who stole everything she loved. I'm executing you as Alpha Queen. She kneels, places the blade against his throat, for kinslaying, for treason, for 5 years of tyranny. Single stroke, clean, quick, merciful despite everything he did to her. Because she's better than him. Because justice doesn't need to be cruel to be absolute. His body goes still. Blood pools on stone. The courtyard holds its breath. Then erupts. Alpha Queen! White lichen! Moses line! The chant rolls over her like thunder. Hundreds of voices, thousands, every wolf who came to witness, acknowledging her claim. Marcus approaches with her father's crown. Recovered from Thaddeus's chambers. Dark steel and moonstones, the same crown Alexander Moses wore when he ruled. He kneels, holds it up. All hail Alpha Queen Charlene Moses, first of her name, the white lichen, rightful ruler of the kingdom. She takes the crown, places it on her own head. She won't be crowned by anyone. She earned this. She'll wear it by her own hand. Every wolf in the courtyard howls in acknowledgement. The sound is deafening, beautiful. The sound of a kingdom recognizing its queen. But she's not done yet. Charlene climbs the castle wall, scale it with white lichen strength until she reaches the highest balcony. The same one where her father used to address the kingdom, where Thaddeus stood and gloated. She shifts one final time, full white lichen form. 8 feet of glowing white fur and liquid mercury eyes and power that makes reality feel thin, and throws her head back and howls her claim. The sound carries for miles, across forests, over mountains. Every wolf in the kingdom hears it and knows exactly what it means. The true heir has taken the throne, the white lichen rules. And one by one, from every direction, they howl back. Submission, recognition, acknowledgement. She can feel it. The pack bond. Invisible threads connecting her to every wolf in the kingdom. They're hers now. Hers to protect. Hers to lead. Hers to love or punish as they deserve. She shifts back to human form. Exhausted. Triumphant. Marcus climbs up to join her, brings a cloak to cover her. "It's over," she says quietly. He smiles. "No, Your Majesty, it's just beginning." Below, Thaddeus's body burns on a pyre. 5 years of captivity ended in a single night. 5 years of being called worthless erased by one perfect moment of justice. Charlene watches the flames, feels the weight of the crown on her head, feels the pack bond humming in her chest. "Good," she says. "I have a kingdom to rebuild." 1 month changes everything. The castle that once stank of Thaddeus's corruption now gleams with purpose. New banners hang from the walls, white wolves on silver fields, the Moses crest restored. The obsidian throne has been replaced, the blood scrubbed from stone, the wolf skulls taken down and buried with honor. Charlene has spent the month learning what her father never got to teach her: how to govern. How to read treaties and judge disputes and balance the needs of warriors against the needs of farmers. Marcus has been patient, guiding her through the maze of pack politics, helping her uncover the depths of Thaddeus's corruption. And she's been training, learning combat properly instead of just relying on white lichen instinct. Practicing controlled shifts until she can transform as easily as breathing, building strength. Building confidence, building the queen her father believed she'd become. Today is the formal coronation ceremony, not the battlefield crowning from a month ago. This is tradition. This is legitimacy. This is proving to every allied pack that she's not just a powerful monster, but a true queen. Morning light filters through her chambers as Charlene examines herself in the mirror. She's wearing her mother's ceremonial robes, the same green dress from the first chapter, but restored now, cleaned, pristine, royal. She barely recognizes the woman staring back. The hollow cheeks have filled out. The scars from the chains have faded to silver lines. Her eyes, once dull with despair, now burn with confidence and purpose. Hair that was matted and filthy now shines, braided with silver thread. From broken prisoner to queen in 5 weeks. It doesn't seem real. Marcus enters without knocking, a habit he's developed since she became queen. Representatives from 6 allied packs have arrived, he says. Some are friendly, some are less so. Skeptical? Curious? He chooses his words carefully. "You're the first white lichen in 1,000 years. Everyone wants to see if the legends are true." "They are?" Charlene says, adjusting the crown on her head. "They're just going to wish they weren't." The great hall fills with wolves, but the atmosphere is completely different from that first night. Instead of jeering warriors drunk on violence, there are diplomats in formal attire. elder wolves from across the kingdom, allied pack leaders, witnesses to history. Some faces are friendly, wolves who loved her father, who've waited years for justice. Some are neutral, waiting to judge her by her actions, and some are hostile, traditionalists who fear white lichen power, who think legends should stay legends. The high priestess of the Moon Temple officiates, her voice carrying through the hall as she recites ancient rites, blessings, oaths. Charlene swears to protect the kingdom, uphold the law, serve the pack above herself. The ceremony proceeds smoothly, too smoothly. Charlene's instincts, sharpened by 5 years of survival, tell her something is coming. Then it does. A wolf stands from the diplomatic section, Alpha Garrett, leader of the Northern Pack. Old school, traditional, the kind of wolf who thinks change is just another word for weakness. I invoke right of challenge. The hall goes silent. This is rare, but legal. Ancient law allows any alpha to challenge during coronation, not for the throne, but for clarification, for proof, for public demonstration of worthiness. Charlene's hand tightens on her throne's armrest. What are the terms? Alpha Garrett steps forward, moving with the careful dignity of a wolf who's thought this through. I mean no disrespect to your bloodline, Princess Charlene, or your victory over the usurper. His tone is formal but firm, but white lichens are creatures of legend. The stories say they're too powerful, too unstable to lead. Before we acknowledge you as Alpha Queen of all packs, you must prove control. Gasps ripple through the crowd. This is insulting but clever. He's not challenging her right to the throne, just her readiness to hold it. Name your test, Charlene says, keeping her voice level. Shift to white lichen form. Hold it for 1 hour without attacking. If you can demonstrate complete control, I will bow. We all will. He pauses, letting that sink in. If you cannot, perhaps a regent should rule until you master the beast within. The challenge hangs in the air like a blade. Refuse, and she appears weak, unable to control her own power. Accept and fail. She proves his point. Accept and succeed, though, and every doubt dies. Marcus moves to protest, but Charlene raises a hand, stopping him. If I can't control the white lichen, she says calmly, I shouldn't rule. He's right. Your Majesty, Marcus starts, but she's already removing her crown. I accept, she says, handing the crown to Marcus. She steps down from the throne, moves to the center of the hall. 1 hour. No attacks. Complete control. She removes her mother's ceremonial robes. Tradition demands she shift unencumbered. Stands in the center of the hall in just simple cloth, then removes that too until she's naked before hundreds of witnesses. But she's not ashamed. Not anymore. This body survived 5 years of torture. This body houses a white lichen. This body is a weapon and a temple, and proof that survival is the first step toward victory. She closes her eyes, breathes deeply, remembers her mother's words spoken through dying lips. Love is stronger than darkness. Her father's sacrifice, buying her time with his own life. Marcus and the allies who waited 5 years in hiding, keeping faith, the kingdom she's responsible for now. The wolves who depend on her strength and wisdom. She opens her eyes and shifts. The transformation is smooth, controlled, deliberate. Bones reshape without the agony of that first time. White fur spreads like frost across summer grass. The white lichen emerges, massive and glowing, 8 feet of legend-made flesh. But the posture is different. Not aggressive, peaceful. She sits, massive haunches on the stone floor, tail wrapped around her body like a cat. Mercury eyes watching the crowd with calm intelligence. The hour begins. The hall is silent except for breathing. Hearts hammering. Wolves tense, waiting for the rampage that never comes. Minutes pass like hours. Some wolves shift nervously, testing if movement triggers her hunting instinct. She doesn't react, just watches with patient, intelligent eyes that track everything but threaten nothing. A warrior near the back drops his sword. The clang echoes through the hall like thunder. Every wolf flinches. Charlene doesn't even turn her head. A child starts crying, frightened by the massive white creature sitting in the center of the hall. Charlene's ears rotate toward the sound, tracking it, but she doesn't move, doesn't stalk, doesn't hunt. Just listens until the mother soothes the child quiet. Alpha Garrett, emboldened or testing, approaches, stops 5 feet away, meets her mercury eyes directly, something most wolves wouldn't dare. Impressive, he admits. Charlene blinks slowly, a gesture of acknowledgement without aggression, the kind of thing cats do when they're content. The High Priestess checks the sundial visible through the high windows. 60 minutes have passed. The hall holds its breath. Charlene remains sitting, perfectly still, perfectly controlled. Then, deliberately, slowly, she shifts back to human form. The transformation is as smooth in reverse, white fur receding, bones reshaping, and Charlene Moses stands naked in the center of the hall, not covered in blood this time, not trembling with rage, just calm and controlled and utterly unshakable. Marcus brings her a robe. She dresses without hurry while hundreds of wolves watch in silence. Then she speaks. My uncle called me a useless mutt. He was wrong. Her voice carries to every corner. But I will not become the monster he feared. I am not defined by my power. I am defined by how I choose to use it. She looks around the hall, meeting eyes, holding gazes. The white lichen is not a curse. It's a gift from the moon goddess. A gift meant to protect this kingdom, not terrorize it. I've learned in 1 month what Thaddeus never understood in his entire life. True strength isn't domination, it's restraint. Alpha Garrett drops to one knee. The sound echoes. I stand corrected. You are worthy. His voice is strong, clear, carrying no shame in admission. I acknowledge Alpha Queen Charlene Moses, first of her name, the White Lichen. One by one, every wolf in the hall kneels, even the skeptics, even the traditionalists. The show of control was more powerful than any display of violence could have been. The High Priestess steps forward, crown in hand. Rise, Alpha Queen of the Moses line, guardian of the realm, blessed by the moon. She places the crown on Charlene's head. Charlene stands with crown firmly placed, Marcus and her father's loyalists flanking her. The pack bond surges through her chest, connecting her to every wolf in the hall, every wolf in the kingdom. She feels their acknowledgement, their acceptance, their loyalty settling into place. She is queen, not through force alone, but through wisdom. After the ceremony, after the feast, after the diplomats leave and the hall empties, Charlene finds herself on the highest balcony. The same one where she howled her claim a month ago. The same full moon hangs overhead, silver and perfect. Marcus joins her, 2 cups of wine in hand. Offers her one. Your father would be proud, he says quietly. I hope so. She sips the wine, staring out over the kingdom. I'm trying to be the queen he wanted, not the monster Thaddeus feared. You're both, Marcus says, and that's perfect. A queen needs to be strong enough to protect her people and wise enough to know when not to. They stand in comfortable silence, watching moonlight paint the forest silver. Charlene thinks about her journey. From prisoner to queen in 5 weeks. From useless mutt to white lichen legend. But the titles don't matter as much as the choice to control power rather than let power control her. The choice to seek justice rather than mere vengeance. The choice to lead with wisdom rather than fear. Behind her, her shadow shifts. The white lichen form shimmers in the moonlight, visible as a ghostly outline, not separate from her, part of her, controlled, ready, a guardian that sleeps until needed. She smiles. The kingdom is healing, the usurper is gone, and I am finally home. Marcus raises his cup to Queen Charlene, the white lichen, first of her name. She touches her cup to his, to family, to justice, to the future. Alpha Queen Charlene Moses, the white lichen, first of her name, no longer victim, no longer prisoner, but sovereign of her own destiny, stood tall beneath the moon that blessed her. And as the night deepened, as her kingdom settled into sleep under her protection, she threw back her head and howled her joy into the darkness. The sound carried for miles, not a claim this time, not a threat, just pure, unfiltered happiness. And every wolf in the kingdom howled back, celebrating not just their queen, but the woman who refused to let cruelty define her, who turned suffering into strength, who proved that true power lies not in domination, but in the wisdom to wield it justly. Sometimes the world will call you worthless, will chain you, will try to make you small. But buried inside you is something magnificent, something powerful. Something that's just waiting for the right moment to break free. The question isn't whether you have that power. The question is what you'll do with it once it awakens. Will you become the monster people feared? Or will you become the hero people needed? That choice, that decision to use strength with wisdom, to channel rage into justice, to lead with both power and compassion, that's what separates queens from tyrants. Charlene could have burned the kingdom to ash. Instead, she chose to rebuild it. That's true strength. So let me ask you, what chains are you breaking? What power inside you is waiting to wake up? Drop your answer in the comments. I want to hear your story.
And here's the thing about transformation. Charlene's journey from worthless to legendary didn't happen in isolation. It happened because she refused to quit, because allies kept faith, because she chose control over chaos. If this story resonated with you, if you felt that moment when the chains shattered and the white lichen emerged, then you need to subscribe right now because we're just getting started. Every week, we bring you stories about people who were underestimated, counted out, called worthless, who rose up and proved everyone wrong. Stories that remind you that your past doesn't define your future. Hit that subscribe button, smash the like, share this with someone who needs to hear that they're stronger than they know. Because the next story might be the one that changes your life. Don't miss it.